Hello, 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 and welcome back to Man, an authentic conversation with myself, Cedric Edison, and the very eloquent Ron Servin. We just like to thank you guys for tuning in or coming back to see us. If you're a return listener, if you're new, hey, we greatly appreciate you guys as well, and we hope you can help us spread the message and the cause that we're here. And what it is, we're just having a conversation between two authentic men. And each week we try to bring some interesting topic to you guys, and just Ron and I, we have a very authentic conversation around that topic, just some male-to-male thoughts around that subject. And this week, we have a very interesting topic, loyalty. And I believe this is a topic where we can learn a lot if we just stop and take a look at it, because you can see loyalty even in kids all the way up to, the elderly. And there are things you can learn about yourself, maybe, if we look at that area. So this week, we're excited to have you guys just kind of listen in on Ron and I just kind of conversate about this topic, loyalty. Without further ado, here we are.
All right, we are back here. Cedric Edison and myself, Ron Servin. We are once again tackling a topic that we feel is important for people in general to talk about. But tonight we're going to be talking man to man, as our channel is focusing on an authentic conversation. And tonight's topic is around loyalty. So loyalty, or being loyal, can, we can look at how we are as far as our own loyalty, or how we expect or view others being loyal in our lives. So Cedric, I've got just a pretty basic, simple question for you.
Okay, what you got?
How would you define loyalty?
Oh, man. I'm not gonna lie, man. That's a kind of tricky one for me, because it kind of shifts. Situation dictates, honestly. When it comes, but I guess if I had to simplify everything, I would say staying true to someone or something, no matter what. Um, and I will also add, sometimes it could be an issue because we can stay loyal to the wrong things or the wrong people. Um, so it can be, I guess, a dangerous thing. But like I say, just staying true to something or someone. I can think about the Marine Corps, my time in, and I was loyal to what we stood for: honor, courage, commitment. I was loyal to my other Marines, loyal to being to work on time, just a lot of different things. So yeah, to go back to your question, yeah, just staying true to something or someone.
So just a couple of things I was going to, when you were speaking, was, being true to yourself. How does that look like in your life, as far as, obviously, knowing that loyalty and, courage and all these things you've learned in the Marine Corps have been very important to you. How do you look at being true and loyal to yourself today, kind of being in a different place of your life, kind of new job, new career? How does that resonate with you today?
Man, it's wow, good question, man. It's pretty tricky right now for me. I'm really having to practice what I preach, because it's like I have a lot of different changes going on. So there's a lot of self-doubt. I have a child on the way. I'm supposed to be getting ready to move, and we have another live. It's a lot of different pieces moving. So it's a lot of doubt that goes on. A lot of thoughts, just surrounding various, time, finances, all this different stuff. And I'm having to stay true to what I believe I'm doing and what I'm about and my purpose. So it's ongoing work, and sometimes it's like for me right now, as a coach, it just feels really difficult right now. But I'm staying true to the things I know, which are to help me. Like we reached out and you gave me a kick in the ass, and now I'm starting to get back out there and put feelers out for the new year. And it's just staying true to the things you believe in. Um, and that's kind of what it looks like for me now, through the rough patch, or I guess the dark time,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of honing in on the basic beliefs that I have and the basic tools, and just holding on to those and practicing those to kind of get up out of the funk, because I have, that's what I believe my purpose is. So I have to, um, continue to do the work.
Right.
And that's what it is for me right now, and maybe mid-year it'll be something totally different.
So just a quick follow-up to that. So knowing that you came from a place where, loyalty in the Marine Corps was just something that was inbred in you and something that you believed in, when you come across people today that are very complacent about loyalty, just in general, I think that whether it's young kids or older people, or just in general, just kind of that person that you may run across, how do you experience that? Is that something that you're able to kind of move through, or do you kind of look maybe to challenge those individuals to have a little bit more understanding of what loyalty means to you?
um well, and I'll be honest, man, if it doesn't directly affect me, I just kind of observe it, and I let that thought pass, because I feel like that's nothing for me to hold on to. But if it directly affects me, I'll probably call it out.
Hmm.
And for me, I guess it generally rears its head in some form of aggravation, I guess.
Hmm.
Because I don't understand, like, in that moment, how somebody could just not be loyal, in that moment. I'm like, oh, what the hell? So I'll challenge it. Um, do I do it the right time all the time? I'm still human. No. Um, but that's kind of how it is. And then sometimes, it's where I kind of look at it, because I haven't been, loyal at every turn of my life. You know what I'm saying? I haven't been loyal to some friends or to some things that I should have been, or in some of the wrong things, because I learned loyalty in the gang life, so that was totally the wrong things. Um, so it really depends, man, because sometimes I have to, it'll be a humbling experience. And I'm like, okay, I can't really call somebody out because I've been there. Now I can just kind of see where they're coming from. But I guess it just kind of humbles me out before I go into it. It gives me a different perspective.
I like that. Thank you.
So, I mean, for now, I'm kind of curious. What does it look like for you? I mean, not look like, but how would you define it? Define loyalty.
So I like you. I mean, I think the word true definitely resonates with me. Feeling committed to. Um, I think loyalty, can obviously have so many different meanings in different areas of our life. You look at things like, a dog, where loyalty is kind of an unconditional acceptance of each other, regardless of what we do to them or for them. It's almost that undying need to commit themselves to us as their owners. So I'm just kind of looking at how we as humans, we conditionalize that, and that could be based on um, trust. It could be based on misconceptions. It could be based on actual experiences. I think it's important for me, being somebody that's been loyal to an organization where I work, loyal to a woman that I've loved and been together with for 30 plus years, loyal to myself, to be able to be the best man that I can be. But like you, we all make mistakes, and we all have areas to improve upon. So, loyalty can be, very steadfast and certain to a certain extent, but can also have some need to have some understanding that slight missteps in our life doesn't necessarily mean that you're not loyal. Um, and I think sometimes people jump to those conclusions, right? Or move to a different place because of maybe their thought that somebody was disloyal or dishonest, or without really sitting down with that individual or allowing that person to express themselves. So for me, I think there's that fine line that, loyalty means, being true, being committed, being, honest in all situations that generate that true feeling of loyalty. Um, with I guess a little bit of willingness to, kind of know that we're humans, right? We're not perfect. We don't, because we have maybe a misstep, as I mentioned earlier, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're not loyal to a situation or loyal to a place of work, or a spouse or a girlfriend or whatever that might be in your life. And I think I just tried to be a little bit more, I guess, not black and white, just a little more flexible and kind of aware of possibilities that may cause myself to be more clear in my thoughts versus just, quickly coming up with a judgment about, loyalty or other aspects of who people are in my life.
Okay, man, you made something pop in my head, especially here at the end. When you talk about the people in your life and you being loyal. But I was like, man, like how, I wonder what your idea or your thought process is when it comes, like, how can you, or how do you judge loyalty being given to you, or how can you tell that it's present from someone? Like when we look at a dog, you can tell your dog's loyal because he comes home every day.
Right. Right.
But on the human side, what does that look like for you?
I guess I'm definitely the type of person that's very optimistic in nature about about humankind, and I guess I try not to be ignorant, but I try to be mindful that we all come from a place of love, and we want to have a connection to others. And I think loyalty is part of that connectedness that we want to experience in our lives. Um, so when I look at others and how I might know if they're loyal to me, um, I guess just being willing to give me it all, right? Not to just, candy coat things and give me nice, soft, strokes of appreciation, but also be willing to call me out, to, tell me when I'm not being authentic, to tell me when they feel like I'm stepping over the line. That it doesn't feel good, and it doesn't necessarily, doesn't necessarily kind of put me in a position where I want to, um, you know, connect at a deeper level at that point. But that's, to me, that's showing me that they're loyal to a relationship that they have with me, where they're going to, be willing to push me, to coach me, to encourage me to be the best person I can be. And again, that can be taken in different ways. If an individual, said to me or you or anybody else, brings something to my attention, sometimes my natural reaction is to get defensive and really working hard on that part of who I am. But I think what I'm not doing is looking at that as a constructive mechanism for them to, coach me or encourage me, or, really push me in a direction that maybe I'm not comfortable in. And I think that, to me, that is a way of showing loyal to me, in the good and in the bad. It's not just about, just being there when I need you, but it's also being there when I don't necessarily feel like I need you, but I really do need you there.
Right. All right, I appreciate that,
I
man.
wasn't expecting that, man. That was like,
Yeah.
and I think that's kind of where these conversations go. I mean, I think just, digging into those areas and those questions that evolve um, during a discussion. And I think that's not easy or not atypical for men. And I think it's still a challenge for us in this conversation on this channel, doing this weekly conversation where we feel, more comfortable with each other, but I guess we're still okay with being uncomfortable in this conversation as well. So I think that's very
Yeah,
indicative of, kind of why we do this. So
exactly.
anyways, so appreciate that. So now we're going moving on to another area. And the question for you, Cedric, is what are you most loyal to? And maybe a little bit of information about why.
Okay. Again, that's a thing. I feel like loyalty is fluid, so it changes based on where you are. But at this point, man, number one, like honestly for me, is I'm very loyal to him, making sure that my son is taken care of and set up, when he comes to the world here in a couple months. Um, and right now, I am being loyal to myself, and what I mean by that is continuing to dig deep and do the uncomfortable things. Which honestly, for me, it's uncomfortable being a friend because I've been basically a loner. I can do it on my own, or I want to stay hidden from the world because I didn't necessarily feel good about myself or feel right about myself. So it's hard having to, be accountable to, even do this. Not that it's hard. I mean, I love it, but having to show up every Tuesday, get things in order earlier in the week on the topics and all that good stuff. So that's what I'm most loyal to right now is my self-help, because in the profession I'm in, I mean, I have to continue to do self-help as well as serve others with the answers I come up with working on myself, and just translate it to the world. um and the why, and I kind of went into the why a little bit, because I feel like if if you're not loyal to something, it's almost like if you don't believe in something, you'll fall for anything. If you're not loyal, your loyalty is just going to keep moving towards different things, but not at the correct pace it should, if you will. Because now I have to be dedicated, and it kind of falls into for me, like that dedication. Like, what am I dedicated to? Because if I'm dedicated, then I'm loyal to it. And so if I'm loyal to it, then I have to be putting the work in to get the results or reach the goals that I put in place for myself. And for me, it's all about, I feel like my voice needs to be heard in the ears of others to help them become better people.
So, so I've been listening into you tonight. I've been kind of, from afar, just kind of, giving some thought to where you're at in your life. I think you have kind of backed away a little bit from life, I guess, at least around the areas that we've been connected with, and the health coaching. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Feeling a little bit like you're not being loyal to yourself. I'm glad you brought that up as far as kind of what that means to you tonight. So my question to you is, knowing that you have now identified the need to really be connected to the loyalness to yourself, and I'm wondering what that first step that you might say to somebody else that might be struggling with the same thing that you're going through. What might be that first step that you would encourage that person to take to get them going in a similar direction that you're now taking?
Wow. The first step. Um, hmm. I mean, because I feel like I'm not the only one. So if it resonated with the person, because I can only give it to how it occurred for me, you know. Um, but I'm getting out of my own way. And for me, becoming comfortable with judgment. Um, because that was the fuel behind a lot of stuff. It feeds the self-doubt. It feeds all the fear around uncertainty. So um, get out of your own way, and the step to do that is reach out. One of the most humbling things, even if you're a person that's comfortable with it or uncomfortable, is ask for help. Ask for help, and don't be afraid of someone letting you down, because I feel like I've made cries for help, and every time I've made a cry for help, it wasn't answered. But it seems like the times it mattered most, and I still ask for help or put it that I needed help, or honestly, the people that's true to me saw that I needed help and came to me first and like, hey, what the hell is going on for you? You know, like, are you okay? Like, you knew something was wrong. It was like, hey, what the hell is going on? Um, and don't be too prideful to turn the help down when it comes. Never turn the blessing away.
Awesome. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, what are some things, like what are you most loyal to, and kind of some background on it?
Um, I mean, I think I do probably even more. When I think about myself, and I definitely have been loyal to myself. Sometimes maybe more to the point where it can be more in a selfish manner. So I think I've had to kind of be more mindful of backing off, um, kind of in areas where I would not spend as much um, of my energy in other areas of my life, which I think that kind of allowed me to be disconnected at times with others in my family and in my life. Um, so loyalty to myself, I think that's never been too much of an issue. But loyal to my family. I mean, I think, and it's not just a numbers game. I think for me, it's just being willing to work through the good and the bad, not being one that just gives up and terminates something because there doesn't seem to be anything else to do to rectify a situation. Being in a marriage for 31 years is not common. I mean, I feel there has been times where there's work to be done, and I think the willingness to be loyal and to commit on a daily basis is important to create that ongoing connection, that ongoing feelingness of loyalty, that ongoing feeling of that we're one, that we're a couple that cares about each other, and we are willing to do the things necessary to keep our relationship in a space that's good for us, and it's continuing to grow. So loyal to my wife, loyalty to my son. Obviously, he's 13 years old now, and just feeling um, so much desire to show him things like loyalty, committing himself to just the simple things that he does in his life. So showing that to him, not telling him to be loyal, but being loyal in my own life, I think is a teachable moment for him, just to view me from afar and to better understand that way versus, me kind of giving him directions on what he should or shouldn't be in his life. Um, and I mentioned this earlier, loyalty to my job, you know, of 31 years, and just feeling overall, I'm a person that commits myself, and you can call it passion, you can call it loyalty, you can call it, I guess sometimes a slight variation of obsession to a certain point where I think that I have to be, aware of that. I think sometimes the obsession in areas for myself or loyalty to myself, I think that's where I have to be mindful of, keeping my tank full, my cup full, but always being willing to fill others' cups as well. Not just, kind of keeping things in reserve for myself, but to share the fruits of my life, with those that are, involved on all different levels, whether it's friendships, whether it's, connections at work, whether it's people that, come into my life, being willing to share and showing that sense of loyalty through that sharing that I think allows others to learn from, to grow from, and to feel that that's the right thing to do. I think I think that's a basic understanding or basic need in our lives, is to feel that we can trust and people, that people are loyal to us. It's interesting. I was just thinking about how the variations of loyalty can look. I mean, you look at the opposite, not the opposite of that, but a variation of like loyalty to a team. I know you're a big New Orleans Saints, fan, but I know, I know, sports fans can be very unique in nature, right? Because there's almost like if you trade our best quarterback or you make a move that I don't necessarily agree with, there's like that sense of betrayal, right? So it's, like that whole, loyalty that you feel as a fan, which, obviously is a lesser version because there's not that, there's an emotional attachment, but not to the point where you can't still find joy in your life, versus your loyalty in the human nature side of it, that can hurt, right? Somebody can, be disloyal to you, and that can be very, that can be very hurtful, and that can leave scars, for many, many years. So, it's an interesting topic, and I think something that we should be, more mindful of, and work hard to create more loyalty in all aspects of our life.
Yeah. All right, man, good. That's funny you bring that up, because I'm still sore about Jimmy Graham going to our nemesis, the Seahawks. Dumb move.
Yes.
Dumb move.
Wasn't gonna go that far, but I knew that was gonna be on your mind. Yep.
It kind of was. I'm glad. I was thinking about that. Oh man, that's crazy. And man, that's why I love like this, what we have, man. And I'm sure I'm gonna probably ask about Anthony or something along those lines, and it's really because this is my first time being a parent. So how, if I was looking inside of a snow globe, how would I be able to watch you or watch your interactions, or what could you leave behind to show me how to teach my son loyalty? So how are you teaching your now teenager Anthony to be loyal, or loyalty in general?
That's a great question. I think by being fully connected and aware in situations that I'm in my life, with friends and with family and with him, kind of sharing with him about my struggles with different times of my life with my career, even being willing to share with him some that my wife and I, at times we have indifferences, right? That's normal to have a different mindset or have different opinions and different, philosophies and different ideas on life in general. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we're not loyal to each other. So I think trying to show him, because he gets, there are times where he gets a little concerned when we're having a disagreement, and we show him that and tell him and express to him that that's part of what love is. It's the loyalty that connects all of the ups and downs in life, and the willingness to stick with a situation and not give up. I think that's just the easy button, right? Just to push, the button that says, I can just walk away and just disconnect, and not be loyal, because that's the easy thing to do. Versus the hard thing to do is to stick with it, to work through your differences, and to show that to him, because I think that's, we can't. My wife and I, don't feel like we need to hide those things from him. We need to be mindful of our conversations and know that he, listens into those. And I think that's a healthy way for individuals to share, their lives in a way where, loyalty still is very evident because of the love that comes out of those situations. So I think for me, it's a lot of what I try to do as a father is not preach to him. I mean, there are times definitely where I, my words come out and it's, I want to say these things to him, and then he gets, overwhelmed at times, because I don't sometimes realize that he's 13 years old and some of these concepts or ideas aren't really something that he completely connects to. So for me, and what I've learned over time is just be more, show him the way, put put these situations out there and live my life in a way that I hope he views and is able to connect to, so he can make his own mind up on the type of man and husband and father that he wants to be. But hopefully I've given him enough tools by what I've shown him, to do the best job that he can in his life.
Cool. Appreciate it. Hell, if nothing else, he knows, hey, you got to pick you one and stick with her.
Oh yeah. All right. So now we're going to move on to the third question, and the question is, how do you remain loyal to something or someone? Kind of what are your tools in your tool belt that allow you to remain loyal to something or someone in your life?
Cut through the BS. No. No, but I mean, it kind of goes to that. Like, man, I don't know if I wouldn't say, man, damn good question. Well, I guess I have to look at it from now a dedication standpoint, and it's usually like a path. Okay, what am I dedicated to? Why am I dedicated to it? And is it benefiting me? And not that I would be in a relationship, and I mean friendship or any type of just relationship for any personal benefits, but if it doesn't benefit me in a positive way, like if you're from a bad crowd, and then yeah, I can't really, the line of loyalty just kind of changes. So I guess I look at what am I dedicated to, and if I'm dedicated to it, then I'm going to be loyal to it. And how I get to what I'm dedicated to is to look at it. It really comes from a goal standpoint. Like, what are my big goals, and what steps do I need to take, and go along that path. And then now I have my goal, my path laid out. Now I just need to take the steps and kind of go down that way. So I mean, that's kind of how I do it, because I always feel like that's what you're dedicated to, you'll be loyal to. So it's really just finding out what's beneficial to you,
Right.
in a in a goal type of way.
Right. Yeah, I like everything you said there. I don't have any questions related to that. It's just more, just perseverance, right? I mean, just those things about us as humans that we've been able to, survive and just, kind of our basic instincts and all those things about us that create that desire to live the best life that we can, and loyalty is part of that, right? I mean, it's part of the commitment that we make to ourselves and to others to you know to stay committed to something that's going to provide some sort of end result. And if we aren't willing to stay true to ourselves or true to others, the road to get there is either going to be very bumpy or it's going to be a challenge. And I think you and I've talked about this before. It's not always where you end up. It's that road that got you there. So if you're not, if you're kind of cheating the system and not being loyal or true to yourself, to others as you're going towards this goal in your life, that story is going to get lost. So I think it's, I appreciate all those points you brought up, and just, maybe just thought that might be just, to try to enhance upon that, just, as we've talked again before, enjoy the journey, right? And be true to the journey.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. And man, it made me think about something, because I was like, man, we're talking about people. And I was like, man, it's something my mama used, you can, because you said make it bumpy or not. And I was just like, man, to put this out there to people, I don't know how right it is, but it's held me strong when it comes to your friends and people in general. Don't believe anything you hear and only believe half of what you see.
Mm-hmm.
Which means think first before you react and ask questions, because I've seen that make a lot, break up loyalty between people. They just hear something and run with it, or, it may look a little out of skew and they just run with it. I'm like, man, uh-uh.
And also, I think we learn loyalty in our lives, right? Or we learned how to be disloyal. So I think with anything else, good or bad experience that we've had in our life, our challenge or our hopefully our goal in life is to take the things we've learned from our parents and their parents and not cast judgment on those, but to know that they did the best that they could based on their own awareness. But what can we do today to make a shift in our lives to hopefully change those things?
Yeah, for real. So, how do you remain loyal to something or someone?
I think for me, I guess as I mentioned earlier, just being optimistic that that's one of our, our nature, or part of our human nature is to be, to be loyal to a certain extent. So I try to give that to others, to show that I'm, loyal to who they are and what they are in their lives. And I try to, share my experiences with them. I was mentioning to you about my, my job, my marriage, my, commitment to myself. I try to express that through my actions, and not be willing to coach people through those situations where they kind of give up hope, or they don't feel like they can stick with it and they can't stay loyal to something, because of the challenges that go along with it. So again, as I mentioned earlier, it's sharing that journey, journey of challenges, journey of the pitfalls and the successes that come along with it. Not just telling somebody that that I'm loyal to you, or I'm worthy of being, of you feeling like I'm loyal to you, but just, showing that, being that one that's willing to, follow up, stick with it, don't give up, give people the benefit of the doubt that they want to be, in a better place in their life, and feel that there's loyalty within themselves and loyalty with their friends and their family. but I think it's, unless they have some sort of person in their life that's sharing that with them, that may be a very difficult, kind of journey for them, not knowing or not feeling that there's a place out there for them. So, for me to, kind of share and show, my loyalty to others is to, through my words and my actions to, you know, tell them that it can't, that there's a place in our lives for loyalty, and it doesn't have to be, based on necessarily the past. Why not become more loyal today in every moment of your life and create, a new space, in that direction? Because I think it's, very easy for us to feel stuck and to, not change the trajectory of our life, just to assume that that's the only way we can go. Whether it's, around loyalty or some of the other topics we've talked about, there's options and ways of changing things, through different habits, through growth, through opportunities, through creating space in our lives to allow for us to evolve. And that includes loyalty. I mean, I think, somebody can be disloyal, and I honestly believe that you can regain that loyalty back. I mean, I think I try to be, willing to, look at individuals that maybe have had, challenges or maybe made bad decisions in their life, and being open-minded to, them correcting those actions by becoming more loyal to. I mean, you hear about, people that are in, creating, doing heinous things in their lives, and I don't condone any of that, but you do hear stories where those individuals are able to create change in their life, and I think that loyalty can be something that can be, a huge catapult for them to put themselves in a better place, to, change their future. um, Kind of rambling a little bit there, but I think I just try to show by example, use my words, give people the benefit of the doubt, have hope, and encourage people to, to create loyalty to themselves. Obviously, that's where it starts, so they can then share that and be that person in other people's lives where there's that wholeness that they can share, and be loyal to others. I mean, I think that's only a positive thing that can help create more connection in the world.
Yeah, yeah, for real, I agree. Well, man, I don't really have a follow up on that. We kind of picked each other's brains. You got all my questions out, and I'm sure I hit you. I know I hit you with one that you stumped me. I was like, whoa, all right. But that's what it's about, though. Those are the moments where authenticity comes out.
Right.
It's like, whoa, you taken back by the question, like, how the hell do I answer this?
Right. Yeah, and I think these conversations that we have are, kind of sometimes, move in different directions to a certain extent, because that's kind of what we allowed to have happen. I mean, we don't our mindset going into these conversations isn't just to stick to three, talking points, and to not be very willing to explore even more challenging or darker or, difficult areas for us to, connect to. So I think that's the beauty of this conversation, and it's the beauty of what we're trying to give others, to at least have a space that they can create in their lives. And hopefully this type of conversation allows you that are listening to, create some space for, a different mindset or different thought process, or, different variation of how you perceive life or men or our existence, or, kind of how we can be in this world. I truly appreciate this space, just for our connection. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, had any follow up from you, Cedric?
Well, just kind of, go along those same paths. Like, life is fluid, and it's always changing. And that's why I appreciate that, with the utmost what we have going on, to kind of get it out there to people And really, I've come back and listened to what we had to say multiple times, because it's just, it might not resonate with me right at the moment, what I'm going through, but it's like, oh, let me kind of go back, and you just have another tool, or another perspective to look at, a situation, like the topics we talk about, loyalty, fear. We might have a different way of looking at it, that could possibly help. And so, I'm very grateful for that. And, just invite more people, not more, whoever, man, like tune in and like, share, give us feedback. What do you want? What do you not like? All that good stuff.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time tonight, Cedric, and look forward to next week's conversation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Greatly appreciate it. Oh, man. Yeah. And Happy New Year's, everybody. Man, we didn't even talk about that. Sorry, y'all. We diving right in, getting to work. But yeah, Happy New Year, everybody. I know it's going to be a good year for everybody. I know it is.
Yeah, that ditto for that. And I know we typically end the conversation with a namaste to y'all. And if you're not familiar with namaste, in a nutshell, a namaste to me is I see the light in you. I see and honor the light in